General Welfare Committee. We're here today to talk about a very troubling phenomenon in our city, of a city agency referring New Yorkers in need, referring folks who have been in shelter to illegal boarding houses. Boarding houses that in many cases are overcrowded and unsafe and dilapidated, and not the kind of place any New Yorker should be living. It's certainly not the kind of place a city agency should be sending New Yorkers in need to. Now, because of this phenomenon, I'm introducing legislation that would end this practice, that would require the Department of Homeless Services to stop the practice of sending people to these inappropriate locations. And we're going to have a hearing starting in just a few minutes to look into this issue further and see what it's going to take to once and for all end this practice of sending people to what's known as three-quarter houses or any other type of illegal boarding house. Now, the troubling thing is that this practice is inappropriate and unfair to the individual's need, but it's also unfair to the taxpayer. I want to show you these letters that have been sent by owners of these houses to the Human Resources Administration, asking them to pay the rent for these formerly homeless individuals. So the actual practice is occurring in our city of folks who have illegal boarding houses, again, unsafe, overcrowded boarding houses, asking the city to pay rent for those very same locations. That's unacceptable, just as is the practice of the Department of Homeless Services referring people to these unsafe locations. I'm concerned because this is not news that this has been happening. We've been raising the issue, and I know a lot of the folks who you'll hear from today have been raising the issue for many, many months, but the practice continues. And I want to point out that we know, and we were able to put it into this beautiful chart, exactly where some of the most troubling houses are in this city. So take a look at the first one here, 112 Jefferson Avenue in Brooklyn. Illegally houses as many as 54 people, with as many as 8 per room. Bunk beds in the hallways, occupancy violations from the Department of Buildings. But this is the kind of location the Department of Homeless Services has sent needy New Yorkers to. So if we're able to tell you exactly where locations are, why can't the Department of Homeless Services do the exact same thing? If we can find it and put it into a chart, why can't they find it and make sure that they stop referring people to these unsafe locations? Because we have not seen evidence that they are doing it, I have to go down the legislative route, and when my legislation passes, it will end this practice from the Department of Homeless Services. We need to stay on this issue. Not only because it has been unfortunately ignored by the department, but because of the moment we're living in history. This economic crisis is putting more and more pressure on everyone in the city. It's causing more and more people to lose their apartments and become homeless. And the Department of Homeless Services, because of the mayor's plan from 4 years ago to reduce the number of people in shelter, has immense pressure on them to get folks out of shelter. Well, the worst scenario is to send someone out of shelter to someplace unsafe and illegal, which is only going to ultimately lead to a lot of those folks going right back into shelter soon thereafter. So we understand there's a pressure on DHS to keep getting folks out of shelter, but this kind of location, these illegal boarding houses, are the wrong solution. We need to get people to safe and